Okay, I'm putting this second video together, which is meant to be a quick and dirty video. I have another more in-depth one if you want to use the more powerful features, but this is just going to show you how to use the basics of the spreadsheet. And this is the stint planning spreadsheet that we can use for our own races. If you just like, I use it, for example, for PRL to calculate my strategy, but you can use it for team events too. So I'm going to show you the simplest way to use it, and you can use the other video for the more in-depth one. There's a few tabs along the bottom. You'll just be looking at this race parameters tab and the stints tab. As we go along, we'll add more details for car metrics and track metrics because that is details that will get pulled into the spreadsheet. But you start on the race parameters tab. You only ever enter data in red fields. First thing you do is you select the track. That'll pull in the pit lane loss time, which is on the track metrics page. Now, not all these track metrics are verified. So check here to make sure that it's been verified. And if it hasn't, then go verify it yourself and enter in the right value here and then change that to verified. And then the next thing you do is you select the car, which will bring in the tank size, fuel flow rate, and tire change time, which is all used to calculate pit time. And again, go to the car metrics, look for what data has been verified. Any data that's a placeholder or is blank is not verified, and you'll have to enter that data yourself. Do it in the spreadsheet, and then send me an email or send me a message to let me know what the data is, and I'll add it to the master one. Okay, race duration, pretty straightforward. When it's going to start, GMT time, what the in-sim time is, so that, you can look at track temps. The fuel size will be brought in by the car selection, but you can enter in what percentage of the fuel tank you're going to use. And then here you can enter in the amount of fuel you use in the pace lap, which will then give you your starting fuel when you start that first race lap, which is important because that can affect how many laps you might do in that first stint. For fuel, you've got no fuel saving, fuel saving. So you enter in your average fuel per lap when you're not saving, and your lap time. And then if you want to enter, and then I'll give you details about, length of stint and so on. If you want to do a fuel saving, enter in how many more laps you want. It'll calculate what the fuel per lap is. And then you want to enter in your pace loss time. If you're good and it's 0, it's great, but I can never do that. So it's going to have some sort of pace loss. And that will calculate your lap time and then of course, your stint length. Down below here, you've got tire wear. If you care about that, enter data here. If you don't care about your tire wear, then you can ignore it. But basically, go and do some testing. Enter the number of laps for the front. This is your worst front tire. How many laps you did? What was your wear rating at the end? And it will calculate your loss per lap and do the same for the rear. This is good if you want to see what the delta is between your front and rear at the end of the stint. This assumes a full stint. In this example, the rear is going to be 4.7% more in the rear than the front. The pit stop times, this is all data that is pulled from the combination of the car metrics and the track metrics. So it's based on the track you select in the car. So you don't have to enter any data here. But again, if you're selecting cars in here that are not validated or verified in the track or the car metrics, then go into those car metrics or track metrics tabs and enter the valid data. Okay, so now we'll look at the stints. You're going to want to select the drivers per stint. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a drop down. You'll have your in-sim start time. Pretty straightforward what that is. So that's in the game. Are you going to save fuel? Yes or no? And that, of course, affects the number of laps you'll do. So here, it's 26 laps. If I click that, it'll be 27 laps. It changes the amount of fuel burn and the lap times, of course. If you want to override the fuel that you're adding in a stint, you can do that. Enter it in here and it will recalculate. It will estimate how much fuel you'll use in the last stint. So you can look at that. But of course, I would use your fuel calculator that you use, like JRT or whatever, to override this number. But this just gives you an idea. And then you can use that if you want to do some strategy around, maybe like if that was like 3 liters, then you could say, well, maybe I'll take some less tires earlier and spread out the wear, spread it out so that maybe you can take tires in the last stint. Speaking of tires, you you can enter in the number of tires you're going to take, and it will determine if the fuel you're taking on is covered by those tires. So if you're doing a sprint race, say it's like a PRL league that we do, is only, instead of being 6 hours, it's 45 minutes, just to give you an idea. So I'm doing 45-minute race, 45% fuel. It's actually 47 liters. So I don't know why this is the case, but 45% in iRacing gives me 47 liters. So I had to go find what the number is. It's 45.19 is actually what iRacing is using to give you the 47 liters. So here you go in and you'll see what am I missing? Not 45 seconds. 45 minutes. There you go. There's the 2 stints I was expecting. Sorry, I was confused why I wasn't seeing the 2 stints. The whole point of this was that you'll see that if I was to decide to take 4 tires here, my fuel that I'm adding of 41 liters will not cover the 4 tires. So I can take 2, and then we'll verify that that's covered by the fuel, so I'm good. So now I know I can take 2 tires, which is just an easy, quick way to make that decision. And then your pit stop time is calculated for you, your on track time plus your pit stop time is calculated for you, your start and end of your stint, and you can override the end time. So that will change the value here. So instead of ending at 12:22, let's say it ended at 12:21. It changes that, and of course you add another stint because of that, but it just shows you how that can be used. The remaining time in the race, you notice that it goes 1 minute 29 seconds past the end of the clock, the end of the clock race. So that means that you'll on your last lap, you'll roughly cross the finish line by about 1 minute and 29 seconds after the. Sorry, you'll cross the finish line, and then in another 1 minute and 29 seconds later, I'm not explaining that well. When you finish your last lap, you'll have gone over the race time by 1 minute and 29 seconds. Okay, so then this is the same as what you've seen before in other spreadsheets, where the driver local time is calculated by their offset, and that comes from here. So the offset is calculated, and you can move the clocks forward or back, and that determines the driver time. If you want to see the actual end time and local time, you just expand that. And that's basically how it's used. So it's pretty straightforward. There's more things you can expand, and if you want to see what that is, look at the longer video.